Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. The moment I saw her lipstick stain on his coffee mug, my heart stopped. It wasn't mine. I hadn't worn that shade in months. A deep wine red, the same color my team lead, Clara, always wore like a signature. The same Clara who teased me every day about how adorably protective I was of my husband. At first, I wanted to laugh it off. Maybe it was just the cleaning staff's accident, or a shared mug from the break room. But then I noticed the smudge wasn't on the rim, it was on the inside, faint, like it had mixed with his coffee. That detail made my stomach twist. It was 8:17 a.m. I stood frozen in the office kitchenette, gripping that mug so tightly my knuckles turned white. The hum of the espresso machine, the flicker of the fluorescent light, the faint chatter from the open office, it all blurred around me. All I could hear was Clara's voice in my memory, playful and sharp. "Lauren, you guard him like he's going to run away," she'd joked last Friday. "You should let the poor man breathe." They all laughed. I smiled too, pretending it didn't sting. Because maybe they were right, I was protective. After 15 years together, after surviving layoffs, infertility, and his depression, I had become cautious. Overly cautious. He was my constant, my anchor. And now I was staring at proof that the anchor might have slipped away. The signs had been there, small, almost invisible threads of unease that I kept tugging at, only to convince myself they'd lead nowhere. He started working later, but always with that apologetic tone. "Clara needs the presentation redone," he'd say. Or, "She's under pressure, I can't leave her hanging." At first, I even pitied her. Clara was intense, brilliant, demanding. The kind of woman who could command a room without raising her voice. I admired her. I wanted to learn from her. I trusted her. But then, the office joke started. "She really leans on your husband, doesn't she? Must be nice having your husband as Clara's personal therapist." And my favorite, "Lauren's husband should start charging her consulting fees." They said it with laughter, but there was an undercurrent I didn't want to face. So, I brushed it off, smiled, defended him. I became that wife, the loyal one, the naive one, the joke. The breaking point came 2 weeks later, during a team dinner. Clara was hosting it for our department, a morale boost, she called it. The restaurant was dimly lit, elegant, with candles flickering against glass walls. My husband wasn't supposed to be there. He didn't even work in our company anymore. But Clara waved him in like he belonged. "Surprise guest," she announced, clinking her glass. Couldn't resist inviting my favorite collaborator. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile that felt carved into my face. He looked sheepish, charming, comfortable. When he sat down beside her instead of me, my breath hitched. "Traffic was terrible," he said, glancing at me briefly. "Clara thought I might bail." Clara thought. Not you. Their conversation flowed easily, laced with familiarity. They shared inside jokes about late nights at the office, little moments I wasn't a part of. I watched her lean close, whisper something that made him laugh, the kind of laugh he hadn't given me in months. The steak on my plate grew cold. Every sound in the restaurant seemed to fade until all I could hear was my heartbeat thundering in my ears. Then, in that half-second of careless intimacy, her hand brushed his knee under the table. Not a friendly pat. A knowing touch. And the way he didn't flinch, it told me everything. I didn't confront them there. I wanted to. God, I wanted to throw the wine in her face, demand an explanation, make a scene that would shatter her composure. But I sat still, nails digging into my palms until they drew blood. When we got home, he acted normal. Kissed my cheek, thanked me for being so patient. I stood there, trembling, staring at the man I thought I knew. "How long?" I whispered. He froze. The air between us thickened. His lips parted, but no words came. "You and Clara," I said, my voice breaking. "How long?" He tried to lie at first. Something about work, about late nights and blurred boundaries. But I'd already seen the truth in his eyes. The shame, the fear, the relief of finally being caught. 8 months, he said finally. 8 months. 8 months of secrets. 8 months of me defending him while they all laughed behind my back. The days that followed were a fog of numbness. He begged. He cried. He said it was emotional at first and that he didn't mean to fall. As if that made it less of a betrayal. Clara avoided me. She took remote work for a week. The office whispered like it always does, quietly, viciously, just out of earshot. I didn't quit. I showed up, head high, heart broken but defiant. I refused to be their pity story. Every meeting felt like walking through fire, but I endured it. Because pain, when faced directly, becomes fuel. 3 weeks later, during a quarterly review, Clara approached me in the empty conference room. She looked nervous, pale. "Lauren, I'm sorry," she said softly. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that." "Like what?" I asked coldly. "Behind my back. In my office. With my husband." Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. I had cried all my tears already. "He said things were over between you," she whispered. "He said you were unhappy." I laughed, a sharp, hollow sound. "And you believed him? Or did you just want to?" She flinched. I turned to leave, but paused. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. "I actually liked you. I trusted you." Then I walked away. A month later, I filed for divorce. The day the papers were signed, I went back to that same restaurant, the scene of my humiliation. I sat alone at the same table, ordered the same meal, and for the first time, I tasted it. Really tasted it. The bitterness of betrayal had dulled, replaced by something sharper, cleaner, freedom. When the waiter brought the check, he smiled kindly. "Table for one?" he asked. I smiled back. "Yes. For one." As I left, I felt the weight lift, subtle but certain. I wasn't the naive wife anymore. I wasn't the joke. I was the woman who had walked through fire and learned to breathe smoke. Because in the end, being protective wasn't my flaw. It was my instinct warning me of the truth I didn't want to see. And this time, I listened.